So, like, where do we play? I just thought I would add a little bit of, so I was involved in Newcastle bidding for Capital of Culture, which was won and ran in 2008 at Liverpool. I organised a collective in London where we had culture, we had celebrities, we had a load of people came to an event trying to get the judges to come to. And ultimately, the prize for Capital of Culture went to Liverpool because there were more people. And it wasn't necessarily about the differentiation. It was just, if you're going to drop some kind of money from government in a region, you want to do it with bigger effect, and Liverpool was bigger. So again, you have to be really smart about what we do and how we bring those teams together. I thought I would do my part of my fingernails in this building in terms of helping it to come to fruition, working with Rob Hamilton and Paul Watson. Back in 2016, George Osborne had been the Chancellor, and he'd visited the local enterprise partnership and said that he wanted to spend a load of money in the northeast to get the economy going, to get jobs and excitement. And he'd said to Paul Walker, who was the chair, over a brown bag lunch, what are your ideas for spending money in the northeast? And Paul Walker, as anyone will know, is extremely canny, and he didn't have a clue. And he said to George Osborne, what do you think your ideas would be if you were thinking of dropping a load of money in the region? And Osborne said, I think maybe like a new university would be a good thing. And so I'd heard that, and I brought it back to our Dynamo board, and Paul Watson, equally canny, said, you do not want to set up your own university. You've got to have like a royal charter. And that made it complicated enough for me. We didn't want a royal charter, but I think he had machinations going on. He knew where the bodies were buried, and he said, maybe a kind of institute would be good. So actually, with the Dynamo status, the region had said, we're putting a devolution deal together. Who in the industries of the region have got ideas for something that we can have an ask for government? And I ended up writing some words. Rob Hamilton wrote a hell of a lot more words. We were going to launch it at our second Dynamo conference, which was in Sunderland, and our working title was Geordie MIT. And we thought that it wasn't best to launch Geordie MIT in Sunderland, so we rebranded it the Northern Institute for Technology. Remember, George Osborne loved the Northern Powerhouse. So we managed to get it through, and in the budget, which happened to be George Osborne's last budget in 2016, he never mentioned it, but in page 6 of the notes that came out, it said that they would support it to the level of £15 million. And I think Paul and Chris had managed to backfill to double the money. And they said that they wanted, the guys in London, a national centre for smart data. And none of us were quite sure what smart data was. It became the Northern thing. Theresa May came in. Rob had to rewrite all the documents with Northern Powerhouse out. Somebody else came back. They wanted Northern Powerhouse. It came back in. It then became the National Innovation Centre for Data. And it came out of the ground and is here co-hosting £300 million worth of other national institutes, ageing, rural economy, etc., etc. So the point being, you've got to have oven-ready projects for those guys in Westminster. And the menu-ready aspect of it is, for the region, that I haven't seen with the current combined authority, how you're putting them in so that they first course, second course, third course, main course. You need to do the politics of that in region to make sure that you're not jumping the queue, upsetting people, and all that, because it is a small region. I had a little bit of a go with Northumbria University, sorry, Newcastle here, when, again, the smarts were the amazing aspect of building information modeling, which is a protocol for tech, for the construction sector, where you can go from an architect's drawing to the man running the building with an iPad of all of the drawings and everything later. And BIM was a protocol that was invented and driven out of the Newcastle branch of the Royal Institute for British Architects. That business grew huge and was subsequently sold to Lloyd's Development Capital, a spin-out from the Institute, and then subsequently to some Scandinavian NASDAQ company. But I was interested in the cluster that we had here in BIM. Newcastle's got a very good architecture department. Northumbria claims to have the largest built environment department in the UK with architecture, surveying, etc., etc. They have a BIM academy. And I was keen to try and repeat the oven-ready aspect with this concept. And we were keen to get the Vice-Chancellor of Northumbria to understand it. He didn't really understand it. He was a musician, but we kindly, with Matt, organised a launch at the House of Lords, and that seemed to turn the head of the Vice-Chancellor. And they had a run of commitment to it all, which has not yet reached fruition. But it was a slight peek at Newcastle with the National Institute that we branded that one the International Centre for Connected Construction.